Let's do it. What's happening in the regulatory world right now?
It seems like a lot, nothing at the same time, I think would
Yeah.
be a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
There's some things happening in servicing, the potential to add some additional regulations around making it more attractive for banks to do
Yep.
mortgages and servicing and all that.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
know what that looks like.
No, no, it's a little bit wonky too, with the MSRs, but it could kind of change the balance of power in the industry a little bit. I think banks have been slowly moving out of mortgages, so will that trend continue? I think it probably will one way or another. I don't think there's huge appetite for banks to stay in mortgages in a big way. Also, on the interest rate Fed front, things are kind of seem to be holding steady at the
Yep.
moment. We'll see. They're kind of holding steady at what, like a 3-year low. So
Yeah.
everyone's kind of happy.
Yeah.
Um, there's that. I think there's finally some suggestions around housing changes that actually address the problem of
Yes.
supply, which is, ways of building more houses. I think there was a law that at least passed the House that would have
Mhm.
helped cut down some sort of, compliance barriers,
Yep.
licensing barriers to building fast. So that's always positive. Um, I saw a really interesting article in the New York Times. See, I read stuff about housing too. So it's basically the solution to the housing problem is to build new cities.
Yeah.
It's not as crazy as you think because there are a lot of cities that basically were kind of built from scratch
Yeah.
because of, in some cases, they were company towns. A company had a factory with thousands of people. They built a city around that. A lot of the tech billionaires are doing that now. Apparently, there's Starbase, Texas, Constantinople, Texas, that are slowly getting built
Mhm.
because of those. There's also like cities that are kind of suburb or big city adjacent, Reston, Virginia, outside of DC, Woodland, Texas, outside of Houston, that have kind of just popped up as a planned community.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done, but it seems like a realistic solution to a housing problem, especially now that there's a little bit less of a work in this place requirement, right? If you can,
100%.
you have an area that's a subway stop or a train stop from the city center, you can kind of build a city around that type of core industry and I think attract people there. So
100%.
not a fast solution, but I think it's not necessarily a novel one. It's been done before quite a bit in this country.
Yeah, I mean, Philadelphia, if you know the history of it, is
Yeah.
was completely planned, right?
Yeah.
And a
Mm.
lot of the suburbs were also planned
Mhm.
to be like the rural countryside of Philadelphia, right? And Philly was planned between the two rivers,
Yep.
in the stretch of land. It's why it's a grid layout.
Yeah.
So like any city that has a grid layout
Yeah.
was planned,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that's important to remember
Yeah.
too, as people like look at it and they're like, oh, this is crazy. And it's like, it's actually not.
Yeah, they
Right.
talked about Detroit having like one dirt road before
Yeah.
cars were put,
So
before Ford and other auto dealers moved there or auto manufacturers. So, yeah, I think it's interesting. It gets to the root of the problem. We'll see what happens.
I like it.
So,
Building housing is important.
yeah, build more houses.
Build more houses and build more single families. I'm really over all these like
Yeah,
row homes in Philly. We're just getting row homes. They're picking up
yeah,
these like tiny little
yeah.
patches of dirt and putting like 47 houses
Oh,
on them.
and then like the real tall, skinny.
And they're
white
real
house.
tall skinnies. I know people who live in them. They're fine.
Yeah,
They can be made cute, but
yeah,
they really do come across like very clinical is
yeah.
how I would
Mhm,
describe it.
mhm.
Until you do a lot of work to
Yeah,
make them less clinical.
fair.
And they're still $650,000. Also add that in there.
That's what we got.
That's
The
what we got.
regulation rundown, sponsored by SettleWise.
Sponsored by
Pew, pew, pew.
SettleWise.